Listen to me. If your heart is still beating, your story isn't finished yet. You didn't survive every setback just to live an average life. 2026 is standing in front of you like a locked vault, and the only key is your will. No one is coming to save you. No one is responsible for your future except the person you see in the mirror. Pain has trained you, losses have sharpened you, and silence has made you dangerous. This is the year you stop negotiating with weakness. This is the year you wake up obsessed, hungry, and unapologetically focused. While others wait for motivation, you move with discipline. While others complain, you build. Every early morning, every lonely night, every sacrifice is stacking power inside you. You don't need permission to win. You don't need applause to work. You need standards so high that excuses can't survive in your presence. Decide right now that comfort is the enemy and consistency is your weapon. If you want it badly enough, if you're willing to bleed for it in private, 2026 will bow to you, not because it's lucky, but because you earned every inch of it. Discipline is not punishment, it is liberation in its rawest form. People think freedom means doing whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like it, but that mindset is the fastest road to chaos and regret. Real freedom is waking up knowing your life is under control. Without discipline, your emotions run your life. One bad mood ruins your day, one distraction steals your future, one moment of weakness resets months of effort. When you lack discipline, you are not free. You are owned by comfort, pleasure, and impulse. You wake up tired because you slept late chasing distractions. You feel broke because you avoided hard work. And you feel lost because you never stayed consistent long enough to build direction. Discipline ends that cycle. Every successful person you admire lives by strict personal rules, whether you see them or not. They don't negotiate with laziness. They don't wait to feel ready. They move because movement is the rule. Discipline is what allows you to train when motivation disappears, to work when no one is clapping, to stay focused when life tries to pull you in 100 directions. The disciplined mind does not argue, it executes. That is power. When you master discipline, you master time, energy, and attention, the three currencies that decide your entire future. A man without discipline is emotionally weak, even if he looks confident on the surface. He reacts instead of responding. He eats based on craving, speaks based on anger, and quits based on fear. His emotions become his prison guards, locking him into the same habits, the same excuses, the same results year after year. Discipline breaks those chains. It trains you to act according to principle, not feeling. You do what must be done whether it feels good or not. Over time, your emotions stop controlling you because they realize they no longer have authority. Discipline also creates self-respect, and self-respect is the backbone of confidence. You cannot truly believe in yourself if you constantly break promises to yourself. Every time you say you'll start tomorrow and don't, your mind records that failure. Slowly, trust in yourself dies. Discipline restores that trust. When you wake up early even when it's hard, when you finish the task even when it's boring, when you keep going even when it hurts, you send a message to your subconscious, I am reliable. That inner trust turns into unshakable confidence. You walk differently, speak differently, and think differently because you know you can depend on yourself. People chase freedom through money, travel, and status, but without discipline, all of it collapses. Money without discipline disappears, power without discipline corrupts, time without discipline is wasted. Discipline is what allows you to handle success without destroying yourself. It gives structure to ambition and direction to hunger. Instead of burning out, you build steadily. Instead of starting and quitting, you finish. Instead of dreaming, you execute. The truth is uncomfortable. Most people don't lack talent or opportunity, they lack discipline. They want the reward without the routine. They want confidence without the work. They want freedom without structure, but freedom only comes after discipline, never before it. The discipline to train your body gives you physical freedom. The discipline to control your spending gives you financial freedom. The discipline to control your thoughts gives you mental freedom. Every area of life obeys this law. At first, discipline feels heavy. It feels restrictive. It feels like you're missing out. But over time, it becomes addictive. You start craving order, progress, and control. You realize that saying no to distractions is actually saying yes to your future. You stop seeing discipline as sacrifice and start seeing it as strategy. While others are trapped in cycles of emotion and impulse, you move with clarity and intent. If you want true freedom in your life, stop chasing comfort and start building discipline. Set non-negotiable standards. Decide what you do every day regardless of mood. Make discipline your identity, not just a phase, because the moment you master discipline, your emotions lose their grip on you, your excuses lose their power, and your life finally moves in the direction you choose. Discipline is the invisible line between the life you dream about and the life you actually live. People talk about freedom like it's doing whatever feels good in the moment, but that kind of freedom is fake. It's a trap dressed up as pleasure. When you live by feelings, your emotions pull you in different directions every day. One day you're motivated, the next day you're tired, the next day you're distracted, and suddenly years disappear. That is not freedom, that is emotional slavery. Discipline is the only force strong enough to put your emotions back in their place and make you the one in control. Without discipline, your mood decides your actions. If you feel confident, you work. If you feel tired, you quit. If you feel bored, you escape. Your emotions become the boss, and they are terrible leaders. Emotions are unstable, inconsistent, and selfish. They want comfort now, not results later. Discipline steps in and says, "It doesn't matter how you feel. This is what must be done." That sentence alone separates winners from everyone else. The disciplined person acts with intention, not impulse. Over time, that consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds power. Discipline is how you earn respect from yourself. Every promise you break to yourself weakens you internally. You may hide it from others, but your mind remembers. When you say you'll wake up early and don't, when you say you'll work and scroll instead, when you say you'll change and stay the same, you train yourself to be unreliable. That destroys confidence. Discipline reverses this damage. Every small act of discipline, getting up when it's hard, finishing when it's uncomfortable, rebuilds trust within yourself. And when you trust yourself, you stop doubting your ability to win. Most people think discipline limits life, but in reality, it expands it. Discipline gives structure to chaos. It creates order where there was confusion. When your routines are disciplined, your mind becomes calm and focused. You waste less energy on decisions because your standards are already set. You don't argue with yourself every morning, you move. That mental clarity feels like freedom because you're no longer stuck in internal conflict. You know what you do, when you do it, and why you do it. A life without discipline is reactive. You react to stress, to people, to problems. A disciplined life is proactive. You prepare, you plan, you execute. Discipline allows you to delay gratification, and delayed gratification is a superpower. It's the ability to suffer now so you don't suffer later. It's choosing the hard workout so your body becomes strong. It's choosing focused work so your future becomes secure. Every disciplined action is a vote for freedom tomorrow. Emotional control is one of the highest forms of discipline. When you're disciplined, you don't let anger make decisions for you. You don't let fear stop you. You don't let excitement distract you. You observe your emotions, but you don't obey them. That level of control makes you dangerous in a world full of impulsive people. While others self-destruct under pressure, you remain steady. While others panic, you calculate. That calm dominance comes only from discipline practiced daily, not from talent or luck. Discipline also teaches patience, and patience multiplies results. People quit too early because they want instant validation. Discipline teaches you to work in silence, to trust the process without applause. You understand that real success compounds slowly, and you're willing to wait because your habits are solid. When results finally arrive, you're strong enough to handle them. Freedom without discipline collapses, but freedom built on discipline lasts. At the beginning, discipline feels uncomfortable. Your emotions fight back. Your old habits resist change. You feel restricted, like you're missing out, but that discomfort is temporary. What replaces it is pride, control, and momentum. Soon, the disciplined life feels natural, and the undisciplined life feels unbearable. You start seeing emotional behavior as weakness, not pleasure. You realize that every time you choose discipline, you are choosing yourself. If you want real freedom, stop asking how to feel better and start asking how to become stronger. Build discipline in your thoughts, your actions, and your standards. Do the hard things daily until they become normal. Because once discipline becomes who you are, your emotions lose their power over you, and your life finally moves in the direction you command. Discipline is the silent force that separates those who control their lives from those who are constantly controlled by them. Most people don't realize they are trapped because the chains are invisible. They call it how I feel, my mood, or my situation, but in reality, it's a lack of discipline. When you don't have discipline, every emotion becomes a command. You act when you feel inspired and stop when you feel resistance. That pattern keeps you small. Freedom does not come from comfort or ease. It comes from the ability to act independently of emotion. Emotions are temporary, unpredictable, and often dishonest. They exaggerate pain, minimize responsibility, and justify weakness. If you allow emotions to guide your actions, your life will be inconsistent by default. One week you're determined, the next week you disappear. Discipline cuts through that inconsistency. It creates rules that don't change just because your feelings do. When discipline is in place, progress becomes inevitable because action is no longer optional. It's expected. That expectation is what builds momentum, and momentum is what breaks limitation. A person without discipline lives in reaction mode. Stress controls them, pressure exposes them, criticism derails them. Discipline turns reaction into response. Instead of exploding, you evaluate. Instead of quitting, you adjust. Instead of complaining, you work. That emotional control feels like freedom because nothing outside of you can easily knock you off course. You stop being fragile. You stop being predictable. You become stable, and stability is power. Discipline is also the foundation of self-mastery. You cannot master your environment if you cannot master yourself. When your body listens to your commands, when your mind follows structure instead of impulse, you gain authority over your own life. That authority creates confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. You don't need motivation from others because your discipline drives you forward. You don't need approval because your standards are already set. This internal order removes anxiety because you know you are doing what must be done, regardless of outcome. People often confuse discipline with restriction, but discipline actually creates choice. Without discipline, you have fewer options. Poor health limits your energy. Financial chaos limits your freedom. Mental clutter limits your focus. Discipline removes those limits one by one. When you train your body, you gain physical freedom. When you train your finances, you gain time freedom. When you train your thoughts, you gain emotional freedom. Every disciplined habit is an investment in future choice. Emotional slavery shows up in small daily decisions. You eat what feels good instead of what fuels you. You avoid discomfort instead of growth. You seek escape instead of progress. Over time, those decisions stack into regret. Discipline interrupts that pattern. It forces you to choose long-term benefit over short-term pleasure. At first, that feels uncomfortable because your emotions resist control. They want instant relief, not delayed reward, but with repetition, discipline weakens their grip. You start noticing emotions without acting on them. That awareness is the beginning of freedom. Discipline builds resilience, and resilience protects freedom. Life will apply pressure no matter who you are. Without discipline, pressure breaks you. With discipline, pressure sharpens you. You already know how to operate under discomfort because you practice it daily. Early mornings, hard training, focused work. These things condition you for adversity. When real challenges arrive, you don't panic. You've been preparing without realizing it. That preparation is what keeps you calm when others collapse. The greatest benefit of discipline is identity change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. That shift is permanent. Once discipline becomes part of who you are, your actions align automatically. You don't need willpower every moment because your habits carry you forward. Emotional impulses lose their influence because they no longer define you. You are no longer a slave to how you feel. You are loyal to who you decided to become. True freedom is waking up knowing your life is moving forward whether you feel like it or not. It's knowing that your standards are stronger than your moods. Discipline gives you that certainty. It replaces chaos with order, doubt with trust, and weakness with control. Without discipline, emotions will always rule you. With discipline, you rule yourself, and that is the highest form of freedom. Discipline is the structure that turns potential into reality. Without it, talent rots, dreams fade, and ambition becomes nothing more than noise in your head. People talk about wanting freedom, but their daily habits prove they are terrified of it. Freedom demands responsibility, and responsibility requires discipline. When discipline is missing, emotions step in to fill the gap. They dictate when you work, when you quit, when you indulge, and when you hide. That is not living freely. That is being controlled by whatever feeling shows up strongest in the moment. Emotions are powerful, but they are unreliable leaders. They change with sleep, stress, hunger, and environment. If your actions depend on how you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent. One good day followed by 3 bad ones, one strong decision undone by a weak moment. Discipline removes that instability. It creates fixed standards that do not bend under emotional pressure. You act because it is required, not because it feels easy. That consistency is what slowly builds an unbreakable life. A lack of discipline makes people impulsive. They chase pleasure to escape discomfort and avoid responsibility to protect their ego. This creates a loop of short-term relief and long-term regret. Discipline breaks that loop by forcing honesty. It asks you to face discomfort directly instead of running from it. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen control over yourself. Control leads to clarity, and clarity leads to confidence. When you know you can command your actions, fear loses its influence over you. Discipline is also the foundation of trust, especially self-trust. When you fail to follow through on your own commitments, you send a message to your mind that your word means nothing. Over time, that destroys self-belief. You hesitate, doubt, and overthink because deep down you don't trust yourself to act. Discipline repairs this damage one decision at a time. You show up when you said you would. You finish what you started. That reliability becomes your inner backbone. You no longer need motivation because you have integrity with yourself. Many people believe discipline limits creativity and joy, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates space for both. When your life is disorganized, your mind is constantly busy with stress and unfinished tasks. That mental clutter suffocates creativity and steals peace. Discipline brings order. With routines in place, your mind is free to focus, create, and expand. You experience more joy because you are not constantly cleaning up the mess left by emotional decisions. Freedom without discipline is fragile. It collapses under pressure. Money without discipline disappears through reckless choices. Time without discipline vanishes in distraction. Power without discipline turns into self-destruction. Discipline is what allows you to hold freedom without losing it. It teaches restraint, patience, and foresight. These qualities protect you from yourself when temptation appears. The disciplined person does not need external control because they have mastered internal control. Emotional slavery is subtle. It feels normal because most people live that way. They justify weakness, excuse inconsistency, and blame circumstances. Discipline sets you apart because it forces accountability. You stop blaming and start adjusting. You stop explaining and start executing. That shift in behavior changes how the world responds to you. Opportunities increase because people trust disciplined individuals. Respect grows because discipline is visible in results, not words. Discipline also trains you to delay gratification, and that ability is the gateway to long-term freedom. When you can wait, you can build. When you can suffer now, you can enjoy later. Most people want immediate comfort and end up with permanent struggle. Discipline flips that equation. You choose temporary discomfort in exchange for lasting control. Over time, that trade becomes the smartest decision you've ever made. Eventually, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. You no longer ask whether you will do the work. You assume it. Emotions still exist, but they no longer decide your actions. You feel fear and move anyway. You feel tired and continue anyway. That is freedom, not the absence of rules, but the presence of self-command. Without discipline, emotions will always own you. With discipline, you own your life. As this year closes and a new one rises, understand this one truth. Time doesn't change people, decisions do. A new year is not magic, it's a mirror. It reflects who you choose to become when no one is watching. You can carry the same habits into a new calendar and call it hope, or you can carry a new standard and call it growth. Every lesson you learned through pain, delay, and failure was not meant to break you, it was meant to prepare you. You now know what distraction costs, what laziness steals, and what discipline builds. Use that knowledge wisely. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because life rewards action, not intention. Build routines that protect your focus, habits that strengthen your character, and standards that don't bend when emotions try to take control. Progress is not loud, it's quiet and consistent. Some days you will feel unstoppable, other days you will feel tired, but both days require the same commitment. Keep moving, keep building, keep choosing growth over comfort. Let this new year be the year you stop negotiating with your potential and start honoring it with action. The lesson of the new year is simple. Your life will only change when your daily choices do. Master those, and the year will follow.